Wild Rose never meant to become a legend. She only wanted to fly. This is the story of one ridiculous night over Earth, a blush-pink saucer, and how a single joyride turned into a saucer full of tall tales. In the next few minutes, we'll follow her over the Rockies, through panicked pilots, late-night diners, and a lake full of stargazers, all the way to the moment Earth's social media decides what she really is. Her saucer was her favorite possession. Shiny chrome, with a blush-pink underglow, she insisted, was, quote, aesthetic, not tactical. When she fired up the core, it purred like a happy cat, and the cockpit lights flickered in the exact rhythm of her heartbeat. Whether that was a feature or a glitch, she never bothered to find out. On a crisp midnight over the Rockies, Wild Rose drifted into Earth's upper airspace, just to, as she called it, stretch the engines. Then, flickering on her scanners, she spotted the heat signatures of a pair of Air Force interceptors, climbing hard to meet her. Rose just tightened her gloves and grinned. "Ooh," she whispered to herself. "I smell adventure." With the tiniest flick of her wrist, the saucer slid sideways like a skipping stone across a lake. The jets overshot. Baffled by the impossible maneuver, Wild Rose laughed so hard she had to steady herself against the console. Beep beep. Her saucer politely notified her she'd been, quote, locked onto by primitive projectile-launching vehicles. Rose snorted. Primitive, she scoffed. Adorable. So she flipped the ship upside down, drifted above the jets, and flashed them a neon-purple hello. One pilot screamed. The other scrambled to get a photo. She left them both behind in a swirling ribbon of ionized stardust. Having thoroughly confused the military, Wild Rose dipped lower, skimming the atmosphere until she found a tiny town asleep beneath her. She traced a lazy zigzag just above the treetops. Pink light brushing rooftops and backyards. Porch lights snapped on in a chain, one after another, as people peered out, wondering what on earth had just flown by. She wasn't trying to scare anyone. She just loved the ripple effect of wonder. She parked herself invisible over a diner roof and tuned in. Below her, 4 humans crowded into a booth, arguing over pie and what they'd just seen. One swore the UFO was absolutely government tech. Another insisted it had to be Canadian, because, quote, it moved politely. A third was sure it was a ghost. And the last one claimed it was the spirit of his late grandmother, who had finally learned how to drive. Rose took furious notes. These stories were better than any holodoc back home. To Rose, this was better than any documentary. Every person on Earth seemed determined to turn one little joyride into their own epic. So she drifted on, searching for more stories, more reactions, more deliciously human interpretations of the same pink blur in the sky. Later that night, she found a half-broken dock reaching into a quiet lake. 2 teenagers lay side by side on an old blanket, stargazing at nothing in particular. Rose hovered just high enough to cast a soft glow over the water without blinding them. The blush-pink light rippled gently across the surface, turning the lake into a giant, liquid mirror. When the teens clasped each other's hands and gasped, whispering about destiny and cosmic signs, Rose smiled. She hadn't meant to be romantic, but she decided she'd take credit for it anyway. By the time the first hint of dawn touched the horizon, Wild Rose had filled an entire data stack with Earth stories. She eased back into the upper atmosphere, kicked her boots up on the console, and sipped something fizzy from a travel mug. Already scrolling through the newest posts on human social media, someone had caught a blurry glimpse of her saucer. The video was going viral. The comments were a masterpiece. "Proof aliens are real," shouted one. "Obvious drone," argued another. "That's a weather balloon, you sheep." snapped a third, and buried in the thread, someone quietly insisted, "No, that is my grandmother." Wild Rose laughed until her eyes watered. "Oh, Earth," she said fondly. "Never stop being weird." Uh, 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 uh. Another night of mischief complete. Another batch of stories born. From panicked pilots and arguing pie-eaters to starstruck teenagers and that one devoted grandson in the comments. Earth had done exactly what she'd hoped. It had turned her into a legend, whether she wanted it or not. Wild Rose angled her saucer toward the brightening horizon and punched the throttle. Space curled around her in a silent, shimmering arc as she slipped away to plan her next flyby. Somewhere out there, Wild Rose is already sketching her next route, wondering whose night she'll rewrite with a single pink blur in the sky. Because that's the strange magic of Earth. Give it the tiniest mystery, and it will spin you 100 different legends. If you want to hear where she flies next, stick around, subscribe, and we'll follow the ripples of her mischief across the stars one tall tale at a time.